One of Jay-Z's hottest lines in the song God Did says, "I'm at the cap table with the splits is. Not that cap table, boy, we live this." When Jay-Z says cap table, he's talking about a capitalization table, which outlines who owns equity in a business. So if you were to own equity in my company, Amplify, you would be on my cap table. He also mentions 3 billionaires who have truly built their wealth as a result of owning equity in businesses. For example, LeBron James, Nike, Kanye West, Adidas, Rihanna, LVMH, which owns Fenty. Now, in order to really get on the cap table, you want to be an accredited investor. Those are individuals that make at least $200,000 a year or have $1 million net worth minus their primary home. Now, if you are not an accredited investor, you can also own equity in a business by buying stock in a publicly traded company. If you ever look at a stock chart, at the bottom it'll say market cap, which stands for market capitalization, which is the full value of that company. So you don't have to be a billionaire to move like Jay-Z, but just know that success leaves clues. Follow the blue.
All right, so she hints at a good point here, a few good points actually. Unfortunately, she relates Jay-Z to it, which is an individual that finances an image. I would never recommend financing anything, honestly, especially when it's something that it's going to outlast the duration of your lifetime, reasonably, considering the length of time the average person lives, right? So, but Jay-Z, he's an achiever. The messenger doesn't matter most of the time. The message matters. And the message is important. Words will forever breathe. People will die, the words will forever breathe, right? So let's jump right into it. We got the Fortune 500, right? And the Dow. So if you invest in the S&P 500, that's the 500 large cap companies. These are all powerhouse companies. This predicts the stock market. This predicts what's the overall health typically of the stock market, right? So by investing in anything of, like she spoke about the large cap, investing in anything of that, it's like forcing the capitalists, right? Forcing the elite, if you will, right? Forcing the individuals that are better off, right? The wealthy and the financially stable individuals, forcing all of these individuals of financial excellence, right? Forcing all of them to actually to invest in the lesser fortunate, right? And to black people. That's the best. That's one of the best ways to actually get reparations, through the stock market, right? Because people like J.P. Morgan and Chase Bank have publicized a statement and identified the fact that they actually indulge in, and they benefited from slavery, right? So they financed use slaves as on default loans. They use slaves as collateral. So this way, to protect interests. So what that means, right? Ultimately, what that means is that you're forcing all of these companies to pay you interest and owe you interest, as opposed to you owing them interest when you do financial deals and finance so-called deals and stuff like that. So you have your assets, right? Your assets are taking the fall for you. Your assets are taking the risk for you. Your assets are bringing it in at all times, in replacement of you having to do all those things. Take the fall, take a few falls, create risks, especially if you don't have a high risk tolerance, right? So that's one of the best ways to to force the elite to actually, invest in lesser fortune individuals. This is why some of their biggest efforts is to deviate, and it's been forever. Historical happenings is what always shape the current conditions, right? So this is why they've always pushed to deviate us from financial literacy and capital knowledge that would cause you to gain the capital and be capitalist. This is why they do that. And one of their biggest pushes that is tightly knitted into the average black person's mind is the concept that money is the root of all evil, when in all reality it's the complete opposite. And we absolutely know it for many different facts, statistical facts, and everything. It's the complete opposite, that poverty is actually the root of all evil. That's the root to all evil. That is the causation of things that are done, or things that may be the worst things you can do in order to obtain that money. It could be on the scale, it could top the scale, and it could be at the bottom of the scale. But at the end of the day, these are things that you would do for the money. This is what creates the corrupt world. This is where the angle of the corrupt world came from. That feeling of not having, that feeling of the people you love being in poverty, right? Hunger and things like that. The absolute hunger, the need for more. That's what creates it, right? So to deviate, right? To deviate us away from financial literacy, and actually our emergency topic and our emergency aim being to create more black capitalists, to deviate us from that is their main primary goal. And in doing that, once you do that, you've done the most, right? We only own a half of 1% of the world's wealth, right? And then on top of that, 90% of all black crime is as a result of them not having an economic base, right? These are statistical studies that were done from people doing the groundwork and finding these factual understandings, right? So this all speaks to the fact that everything that they taught you about money needs to be opposed and needs to be reversed in order to have a better systemic understanding, right? Your self-systemic understanding needs to be changed. You need a foster. We all need a foster. Morally, we need a foster. Financially, we need a foster. Politically, we just need a foster. But in terms of money, that's the strength that puts you, the financial strength is what gets you the physical strength. That's what gets you the physical strength, the psychological strength, and the strength that you need to protect our community, to protect us all from the battery in all angles, physically and psychologically, right? That's what does it. You need an economic defense. This pool of wealth is driven by, just like the stock market, it's driven up by the capitalists investing when it is time for fear. That's when they indulge, right? So you have, when it goes down, that's when they indulge the most. That's when the stock market is on sale at that point. Anybody that's inclined to that type of information and understands the stock market knows that that's time to go in there. So they're the ones, things that they say, the media news and everything of the like actually drives it up and down, and the amounts that they put it in, the massive amounts that they have access to that they put in the stock market can cause it to have the volatility as well. So they're the actual drivers of it. They're the drivers of everything. Um, they're the big brothers of the politicians, the capitalists, and with the capital knowledge hidden from us, they're the big brothers of the politicians. So they drive a lot, right? So the reason why I'm saying that is because the black man and the black people, right? We can't control the narrative in any way, shape, or form. The narrative in terms of our families, when it comes to women, they have, we have the big the big gender wars going on and everything like that. We can't control the narrative like men in other racial communities, right? We can't control the narrative as far as that goes. We can't control the narrative as far as economically business goes, because we don't have the strength. We don't have the financial strength to control the narrative, to hold people accountable when they say the wrong things that they're not supposed to say about the black community, or whoever says on earth says anything about the black man in particular as well. So we don't have the strength to protect ourselves when it comes to the tarnishing of the narrative, right? That's where the strength is at. There's no other community that's gonna allot anyone the opportunity to tarnish their legacy, to tarnish their name, to tarnish definitely not their whole race in any type of way. You won't say anything you won't say anything in lyrics. You won't say anything when it has to come when it has to do with um, a gender debate. You won't say anything when it comes to politics. You won't do the wrong things when we actually put you in the office, and we are the primary voters that got you in office. You won't do anything or say anything stupid in terms of politics in that form. So there's different sectors that people are actually tread thinly because of the financial elite, right? So it all comes back to finance, and it always does. That is the beautiful way to become a rider in the pool of wealth that they've created in the stock market, the biggest pool of wealth, by the way, in the stock market, and to become the riders, right, until we are the drivers like they are.